Hey everybody, before we get to today's episode, I want to let you know that we're doing a giveaway. I'm giving away a pair of COS headphones partnered with MKE Home. This exclusive pair of headphones was supplied to me from the Wisconsin Podcast Association, and I want to give it away to one of my viewers. All you got to do is go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my channel, and then in the comments section for this week's episode with Jess, all you got to do is leave hashtag Creative Side Up in your comment, and I will randomly be picking a winner on March 6th to receive a pair of headphones for free. That's it. So enjoy the episode, and we'll see you later. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Creative Side Up. My name is Tim Olson, and this is the show where we unpack creative minds. Today, my guest is social media expert, Jess Bahr. Jess.
Hello, that's me.
Hi, that's you. So you're the social media expert. Is that the term that we decided on?
We can go with that. I like social media. I use it a lot. I help other people learn how to use it. So I always hate saying expert, but I think that sounds right.
Well, we can go with expert on this show. Yeah. That's okay. Can you give us a little bit of your background in social media? How'd you even, we both kind of came up at a time as all of this was starting to develop and all of this was starting to kind of reach the mainstream. I remember being in college and Facebook started hitting the scene.
I remember when Facebook rolled out to my college campus, someone in the dorms came running down the hall screaming, "We have Facebook." Everyone was so excited.
Yeah.
Kids today will never understand that excitement.
Won't understand. And honestly, like Facebook was closed off to, right? That's the way they did. It was only a select amount of schools that could use it.
And then eventually all students, but you still had to have some EDU email address to get it before it rolled out publicly.
And Facebook became the way became the way to communicate. Like it immediately was just right there. It was like, if you wanted to ask your friends what they were doing on the weekend, Facebook message.
I remember you could actually have your class schedule uploaded to Facebook and you could set it up for your university and it would tell you the other students in your class and you could find their Facebooks.
Interesting.
That way. It had a lot of features that do not exist anymore.
Yeah, I never use it as that. I was always more of using it as like posting pictures, photos, and then really some posts that you think was something that you think was funny.
So speaking of college and Facebook, I actually started a company when I was in college and I hired another student to do our marketing. I was an engineering student at the time and I had what I call like Elon Musk moments in retrospect. And I was like, "You're not doing a good job. This can't be that hard. I'm going to do your job and my job, and I'm doing both better." And so I took over our marketing and I was like, "Wait, hold on. This is kind of like designing a production line or a process. It makes sense. There's an algorithm here. I'm seeing that I can change some of the variables, like the post copy length. If it's an image, if it's at the time you could only do pictures, eventually you could do videos and eventually GIFs. But I kind of started tinkering with it and I fell into it is how I say it.
But wait a minute, the way you're talking about it, you saw it as a means of business.
Yes, that's how I started it. Because I had a company. It was a website media company and we're using it to get out there. And so I just started tinkering with it. I was like, this is great.
But that's, you know, what's fascinating about that is, everyone else was using it as a tool to communicate with their friends, which is what I was doing. You said there's an opportunity here to
make some cheddar.
That's one way to put it. So at that time, Facebook was out. There were other implementations that came out over the years that didn't work out. I remember Google was trying something for a while.
Yeah.
What was it? Google Plus?
Yeah, Google Plus.
There were a couple.
I think in 2015, I contributed to like a social media predictions for the next year. And my prediction was that Google Plus still would not be dead, but we'd be talking about it dying. I think it was the longest possible platform to die, but it used to be invite only too when it first came out.
Well, and I bring that up because it's fascinating to see a company as prolific as Google trying something that's failing on a public level.
Yeah.
And not in a sense of like being innovative either, like Google Glass.
Yeah, I was going to say Google Glass.
Yeah, but I mean from a sense of developing for social and trying to understand what's working and what's not and knowing why is Facebook so popular and how are other companies going to make their version of that and then utilize that to reach a larger audience. So these are things that you're thinking about.
Yep.
in trying to figure out how it works from a business standpoint, but are you using it for yourself too? Like, do you kind of approach it on two different levels?
Both. And it's funny because every once in a while, so I used to run all the paid media for a lot of large publishers, and I would be like, this is, as from the advertising standpoint, like, this is great. I'm going to be able to target people based on, one example is you can now target people based on other people in their household engaging with things. So my mind is actually like, oh my God, I can see if it's a couple that's living together, it's a family, and maybe she's looking at dating sites, maybe like they're having unhappiness in their marriage, and I should target them with some like weekend getaway or like marriage counseling. I went on a dark path with that.
Yeah.
But I would get excited and be like, wait, from the consumer standpoint, this sucks. So like as a user, the stuff that I like doing with it it's definitely like a double-edged sword.
Yes.
But I've always loved it just for the mere fact that it allows you to bring together a group of people that you might not otherwise talk to. Like we stayed connected over social media post high school. Mm-hmm. And it's also a great spot where you can find people that are coming together over some generally obscure shared passion that you would never find them in real life usually, especially if you're in a small town.
But what you're talking about are the two sides of that coin. You're talking about the consumer side of what consumers see and what we would call them you say the user. In my world, I say audience. Yeah. But what the audience ends up experiencing when really there's this whole back end that's designed to make you think a certain way or feel a certain way, and predicting habits and using that from a business standpoint as to know how I can engage my customers and be able to sell my product in a certain way. Yeah. And so you've kind of entered that world out in New York. You were kind of in that world of business associated with social media.
Yes.
So what was that like?
I loved it. It's a bit creepy sometimes.
Yeah.
But so for some background, I used to work for a social publishing platform that a lot of large publishers like BBC, Economist, Time, Condé Nast, like you name it, if you've been on Facebook since between like 2010 and 2015, you saw campaigns that I ran. I don't have to ask you anything. If you were on Facebook, you've seen stuff that my team or I have ran. It's the largest publisher to the platform. And it was so cool to be able to see on the back end all of the analytics and the data and really see what these large brands that have millions of reach were doing. My real passion, though, is being able to take that and say, all right, I have a friend trying to start an Etsy shop. How can she leverage that to also be successful? Because not everyone has, millions of dollars to spend on advertising. Not everyone has pages where they can reach 100,000 people with one post to be able to kind of test things out. But from a standpoint
of working with an enterprise that has such a reach in terms of their funding and their budget, what kind of inside baseball are you seeing when you're running these ads, or what kind of looking at analytics is really interesting. Like what kind of feedback are you getting that you're then applying to these smaller business owners or your own content?
Yeah. So one example of something that's not quite as relevant. Do you remember for a while you would see pictures on Facebook that were really videos? And there might be like a little shimmery element that was moving on it. That video was big forever. I'm seeing now video actually doesn't do as well on Instagram and Facebook as people will tell you it does. Mm-hmm. People act like video. And I say that right now, realizing we're on video.
Yeah. But on YouTube specifically.
Video is still as well on YouTube.
Yeah.
But so all these people were like, well, video, I look and I see every video I put out that's under 10 to 15 seconds because the algorithm likes completion rates.
What does that mean?
It means what percentage of people that start watching your video 2 seconds in, because a video view is only, there's a certain length of time you have to watch a video for it to count as a view. So Facebook is looking at what percentage of people who start your video actually finish it.
Right.
And that's a huge indicator of quality content.
Right.
You're not dropping off after like 10 seconds. So if you have an hour-long video, your chances of someone watching the whole thing are small.
Right.
I would find that 98% of people would drop off before 5 seconds before a video ended.
However, there's certain tactics that creatives are using, like adding subtitling to videos.
Yes,
because
subtitling is a game changer.
The one thing is, I don't want to subtitle my videos. However, you need to understand the platform that it's on, knowing that people are scrolling, standing in line at the bank or at work where they can't be listening to sound.
Most are audio off. Also, it is good for populations that are hard of hearing.
Right.
In addition to that, but But yeah, having shorter videos too, because it increases the chance that someone's actually going to watch it. So if you have like an hour-long video splicing into smaller sections, or if you have even a 15-minute tutorial on how to make tasty videos are a great example.
Yes.
You have maybe like a 10, 15-minute cooking tutorial on how to make homemade ice cream. Well, Tasty is going to make a 15-second version that has no audio except for some nice music that doesn't bother you over it. And it's just really quick snapshots of it.
Yes.
You know, stuff like that, being able to kind of repurpose. Because if you go, you'll see the video on social. You click on the link, you go to their blog, which has the video embedded from YouTube.
Yes.
So understanding that you may make a piece of content like this for YouTube, for you, you make a piece of content that's longer form for one platform, but understanding how your audience wants to consume it on the individual social platforms.
That's the part I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how people want to consume this.
You got to test
it.
It's
long form, and it's, this show is around an hour long, typically. So I know it's a podcast starting out, but I know I'd be foolish to just do audio.
Yeah.
So I set up a camera and we're filming this show, and I know it's going to be on YouTube. The full episode's going to go on YouTube. Then I'm going to splice it down and do shorter versions that are going to just be clips on YouTube. Then I'm going to take that content, and now we're talking like, this is the chop shop here.
Yeah.
So then you're going to take some of it and you're going to put it on Instagram. Then you're going to take everything from like taking a screen grab of it playing on Spotify and put it in a story on Facebook. You know, like there's all these different elements that I don't really have a grasp over if it's working or not. But I know if I don't do it, I'm not going to get the eyeballs. I know I'm not going to get seen. So I'm not sure if I'm pushing it properly or if I'm actually pursuing it in the right way. However, I do know there needs to be some back work like that done, or else it's not going to work at all. It's just going to sit there and nothing's going to happen.
There's really two parts of it. One is it working? You know, you look at your analytics. Are people watching? Are people commenting? Are they like messaging you about it? You know, what's happening? But also there's a lot of value in redundancy. So a lot of times people, can you hear crickets snoring?
A little bit, but it's all right. There's a dog down there.
I have a dog down here.
She's
needy.
Yeah, it's not a person. Don't worry about it.
So there's value in redundancy, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people forget and they just want to put a message out once where it's like, well, I put the video out. I published it on Facebook. Everyone saw it. So I can't possibly use it again. I had a publisher client, huge publisher. It's a photo magazine. And they would publish maybe 10 articles a month that they would put on Facebook, but they turned it into 90 plus posts.
Oh, wow.
They would use the exact same Facebook post, exact same picture, same headline, everything. And they would just do it every other week.
Well, here's an interesting thing is I don't, so like I said, I'm using the platforms for Instagram. I'm trying to go across because not just visually, but also audibly too. Mm-hmm. So I distribute, and this podcast gets pushed out to wherever you find your podcast. And the problem I'm having as a creator is I know I get a source of small source of kickback and funding from certain platforms.
Yes.
Now, when I spread myself thin and push it to every platform, I'm getting eyeballs across all the platforms, but not directed to one area that would then, as a creator, give me the revenue feedback that I'm looking for. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 there.
This is also a really common issue that I think a lot of small business owners and creatives fall into, is the idea that I have to be everywhere. Mm-hmm. And where is your audience and where is it most valuable to you? So if you know that, let's say YouTube is like your bread and butter because it's the only spot that you get revenue from. Sure. You may want to find ways to push people to YouTube from other platforms. Now you have to get creative though, because Facebook hates YouTube.
Oh, and
Facebook
I know this.
Hates it.
No,
they hate it.
I know this because, although I do not understand, I was telling you earlier, I do not understand the Facebook algorithm. I do know for a fact if I'm posting this episode from YouTube on Facebook, it gets buried.
Yep.
There's no attention. So what I've been we were talking about this earlier, but what I've been doing is taking the screen cap of the player on YouTube and then posting that picture to Facebook. And by the way, I'm realizing how meta this is, talking about this inside the episode where you're going to see this. It's just so like...
If you came from Facebook, comment below that you started on Facebook.
Right. Tell us where you're seeing this or hearing this. But if you're hearing this on where you get your podcast, you can't comment back, So I'm just wondering, why is there so much of... why do you have to spread as a creator, I'm forced to spread myself into all those areas, even though you mentioned, maybe your audience is just in one spot. It would be great if they all went to YouTube, but that's not how they live their lives.
No, if you were targeting people 55 plus, you'd only need to be on Facebook, right? Because it's the largest growing audience for that age group. But the reality is in today's day and age, people are spread across so many different platforms. And you could have the same person who follows you on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, I don't know if you're on TikTok.
I'm not yet.
Oh, that's where the party is.
Okay.
But you can have the same person following all those platforms. The chances that they're going to see your content on every platform is so small that it's almost like you have to cover your bases in order to make sure that you're going to make the largest possible chance of them seeing you. But then think about, what do you want to do with them? Because the value in an audience is what you can get them. I find the value in social is being able to get people off of social to do something.
But I don't feel like I have control over that.
That's the way control.
I feel. Because
control's an illusion.
But even when I post something, and this is me just trying. So good not even a backstory, just a simple. I got off Facebook for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So I left the platform, and discounting, I still love Instagram. I was all over that. We know the association. But I left Facebook because I didn't feel like I was connecting anymore with what I liked about it to begin with. I felt like I was disassociating myself mentally with things people were posting and arguments for no reasons between friends, and it just became a whole mess.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can just delete the app. I don't need this. And so for a while, I was one of those people who love telling people that I'm not on Facebook. You know those people.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, I'm not on.
Like social media.
Yeah.
I don't use that.
But I shut up pretty quickly when they say, but you're on Instagram. Yeah, I am actually. Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, it's all over there. But however, I bring that up because coming back to Facebook and trying to, now with this show and other projects I have in the works, it was just necessary to do. And I wanted to take a different approach to it. I even put a little post out and surprisingly got some great feedback, interaction, just by me saying I'm back on the platform after almost 2 years and I'm going to be taking a different approach to it. I'm not going to be using this to share stories I see in people's feeds. I'm only going to be promoting my shows. I'm only going to be promoting projects I'm working on and projects that friends are that I want to promote. And so far, my approach to that has been consistent all the way through. However, I feel like I don't know what people are seeing and what they're not seeing, and I don't know what's working, what's not working. It's kind of it's exhausting.
Yeah. So I think of it. It's a lot like
This is a therapy session now. Doc, my mind is a little mush right now.
I'm actually a social media therapist. I think about it a lot like, okay, so I'm going to go real big with this comparison.
Throw it out there. Let's do it.
It's like life, right? You don't know what's going to happen. All you can do is set it up so that statistically you're increasing your chance of what you want to happen. You don't have control. Control's an illusion. You have no control. But what you can do is you can say, okay, I know that there's people I want to reach on Facebook. So I'm going to show up and I'm going to set the expectation early that, listen, if you're connected with me on here and you're following me, this is the content you're going to get. And you can feel confident that by doing that, the people who are opting in to continue following you and be friends with you, they're down with that content. If they're like, I don't want to see his shit, I just want to see cat videos. Yeah. They're going to unfollow you or they're not going to engage with you.
It doesn't feel very good on my end when I put so much effort into something and then I get one like and then the cat video gets hundreds of likes. And I'm like, come on. What am I? Yeah. I'm in the wrong industry, I guess. Got to start making videos of Cricket here.
I know. Well, she is pretty cute. But anecdotally, I actually ran a campaign for a pet store. And we tested dogs versus cats. And then we tested cats and dogs together. And the people who were the dog fans that we targeted, if you put a cat in that picture, they would destroy it.
Wow.
They hated it. The cat people, more open to dogs. Yeah. Not related, though. Just kind of a funny story. So it is a challenge, though. And it can be very discouraging, right?
It is.
It can be very discouraging.
It's very discouraging.
There's a lot of variables in there. I'm
going through some things.
The one thing, people like to hate on algorithms. So I don't remember when Twitter,
I don't know if I'm, by the way, I don't know if I'm hating on it. I just don't know it. I can't read it. I don't understand
confusing.
it. Yeah.
So the good thing about algorithms, so when Twitter changed their news feed structure from real time to an algorithmic feed, which you can still toggle between the two, people are up in arms. But they found when they moved to an algorithm where they're giving you the content that you're more likely to engage with, people's engagement on the platform increased. So
you think it'd be the other way around though?
Well, yeah, that's what they thought, and they're upset about it. But really, like, the algorithm will help get your content to the right people. You just have to get the right people engaging with your content. And it can be very discouraging in the beginning. But the most powerful thing that you can do on any platform to increase your reach of your content is to be consistent.
Right.
To consistently publish, because that is, the algorithm it's just an algorithm. It's just a bunch of numbers, it's a bunch of code.
I'm trying to cheat it. Meaning,
you can't cheat it.
No, I'm trying to find hacks to it. Meaning, I just want numbers. I want to look at statistics and know. So when I post a story and it's showing me how many people have seen it, that gives me comfort. Well, more comfort than receiving a like or a share, knowing that 50 people or 70 people saw that.
So what that really gives you when you look at your impressions or your reach, it's telling you how the algorithm is responding to your content, and then when you look at likes and shares and comments, it's telling you how your audience reached is responding to your content. So it really is two kind of separate pools of metrics, but it's good to look at.
I know that that Facebook got in trouble a little while ago for providing false impressions on videos.
Yes.
Knowing that when people looked at their count and it looked like hundreds of people had looked and watched with this piece of content, knowing that it was really just going by the feed, and then that counted as one person, and then who knows what it was. It could have been scrolling back.
Views are really, people, they think that digital is like this really smart thing, probably because there's an algorithm, but it's hard to measure. It's really hard to measure if someone's actually looking at it. And what they'll tend to do is they go on the amount of time that the entire video is on screen. But if you think about it, it's the same as a billboard. How do you actually know so many people see a billboard? You have no clue. It's the same thing on video. It's hard to measure. But it can be like,
But I do think it's a good point you make about being consistent, because that's the one thing I've found, that at least I know it's out there. But again, I don't necessarily feel as comfortable because I don't know who's actually seeing it and who's experiencing it.
Privacy restrictions too will
actually, you bring that up. I had to switch all the stuff back to public again.
Yep.
Because I had it set from before when it was on private, and now because I'm only posting stuff that's associated with this show or other projects, change it back to public, and all of a sudden stuff is appearing in other people's feeds that I'm tagging them in. And then I found this other little hack that I was just trying out, and I'm just experimenting with stuff. I don't know what's working, but I'll post something and not get any feedback, and then I'll post something very similar and add a location tag to it.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it's now getting interaction. So how are people supposed to know this stuff?
So you got to test it. That's really what it is kind of testing. Going on, Reddit, and there's a bunch of places that people talk about, but so it's an algorithm. End of the day, it's an algorithm. So the more
it
connections,
knows me more than I know it,
potentially. But the more connections that you give it, the more kind of levers you give it to pull. So add a location, add hashtags, regardless of what platform it is. LinkedIn is growing on hashtags. Facebook, add a location, add hashtags, add other people, and you can even say like tagging people who might find this interesting. Tag everyone that you think will engage with it. You can tag them in the picture, and that gives another thing where it's like, oh, this content. So taking a step back, Facebook and Google, everything, they want to serve you the content that's going to be most relevant to you. How do they know that content is going to be relevant to you?
And I can't choose.
Do you have, are 10 of your friends tagged in it?
Right.
It's probably relevant.
Right.
Is that at a location that you're frequent?
It's assuming a lot.
Yeah, it's probably relevant. If you look at it, so TikTok is my favorite platform right now. TikTok offers no insights into their platform and algorithm at all, but you can tell that it's someone's geo-based. Because in Wisconsin, I get stuff from people in Illinois and Chicago. When I'm in New York, I get stuff in New York. So if you're uploading to TikTok, change your location to a bigger city.
On the back end, it's doing that by default.
Yeah. Okay. So if you know that TikTok is going to serve your content to people who are located near you, change your location in your phone to New York City before you upload because there's more people there.
Well, like I had a clip where someone was referencing another location, and I just tagged that location in the clip, and all of a sudden it was getting some feedback because I don't know why. It just was. But also comparing that then to, say, platforms like Instagram, where I'm posting stories, I'm doing a regular post with hashtags, but within the stories, there's all these little tricks like tagging within a story, but then also going outside to an app like Spotify, where within Spotify you can share to Instagram stories, which will then provide a link straight to the podcast. I'm thinking in my mind, like, by the way, I'm watching a YouTube tutorial to learn how to do this. Yeah. And once I learn how to do it, I'm going, who is supposed to know any of this? How is the average user, the average creative wanting to use this as a platform, unless they sit down and take some time to really, put the effort in to do it?
It's not easy.
How is anybody supposed to really, you go in going, okay, social media, great, start an Instagram account. And then you really got to get to work at it, and you don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Do you have a business account or a creator account? That makes a difference too. Yeah.
Right.
And even in stories, so you can tag someone, you can add a hashtag. I like to, in text, I'll put in like 40 hashtags, and I'll make the font super, super small, and I'll pile them all on top of each other, and then I'll put a location tag over it so you never see the other hashtags I'm using. But again, what can I do to tell the algorithm this is more relevant to people? Let me use hashtags they're engaging with.
So you're okay with not knowing what the algorithm necessarily is doing, because you're kind of, I don't want to say gaining the system, but you're throwing things out there.
Yeah. So I would say don't try and figure out the logic, because it also changes pretty regularly.
I've tried.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Try things and be like, ooh, I'm getting more. And the great thing with Instagram when you do that though is if you properly tag locations, tag hashtags, it'll show you which hashtags are surfacing it. But I mean, I've made it on the Discover 3 or 4 times on Instagram. I have no clue how. It was content that was 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
Right. And it made no sense. And I've done this for 10 years.
But Instagram also changed their style of their news feed and the image feed, where you're going through and seeing stuff from 2 days ago next to something that was posted 10 minutes ago.
Yep. Because they want to show you the content that is going to be more likely to be engaged with, versus it makes a difference too. There's this idea of buying super likes on Instagram where people who have a verified check, their like means more.
Yeah. How do I get that blue check?
Oh my God.
The glorious blue check.
I'm pretty sure.
I asked the wrong question. Who do I pay?
It's the hardest thing in the entire world. I was running campaigns. We had a page. So back in the day, Facebook's branded content policy came out, and you could only do a branded content deal if you were verified. And we had I can't remember who it was, but they had 2 million fans on Facebook, and we could not get them verified.
Wow.
And then we're like, we have $100,000 campaign hinging on this. Done.
Wow.
So a lot of times the ad reps are the ones who can pull things through.
So you're saying we don't necessarily have to go and try to figure out the algorithm. We just have to kind of play to our own devices.
Yeah. And try and enjoy it. Even though it sucks, I think if you think about it as a treasure chest, a thing to explore.
A treasure chest?
A treasure chest is not the right word. A treasure map. Just try it. You got to have fun, because if not, you're going to get burnt out and discouraged and end up in social media therapy.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Just want to take a quick moment and let you know of a few ways you can help support the show. First, you can like this video and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy the content we're putting out. Share this episode with other creatives and help spread the word. Next, you can go to creativesideup.com. That'll take you over to our Ko-fi page, where you have the ability to drop us a few bucks and help support independent creators like myself, so we can bring you more episodes and feature even more creatives. Additionally, you can go to anchor.fm/Edgeline Studios and have access to everywhere the podcast is available. And if you'd like, you can tap the support button and become a supporter with a small monthly donation to help sustain future episodes. Finally, follow us on Instagram at CreativeSideUpPod. Join the conversation, send us a voice message. Share your story with us. We want to know, what do you do creatively and what inspires you to do it? Your message could be featured on an upcoming episode of Creative Side Up. So thank you for all your support, and now back to the show.
On your note about Spotify,
Yes.
So when Instagram rolls out a partnership with Spotify to include Spotify in the swipe up feature, in the beginning, Instagram wants to send Spotify a bunch of traffic. So they're probably going to prioritize those stories over others. But after a while, Instagram doesn't care anymore and they want to keep that traffic on their page. So even if that works for a while, we're like, oh shoot, when I link to these partners, I'm getting more views. After a while, it's going to stop working.
Why?
Because Instagram lost its incentive to send traffic outside the platform. Instagram cares about active users and it cares about time in the app. That's all it cares about. And so it's going to give that up a little bit because for a while, that priority is going to be showing Spotify they're a good partner. But after a while, they're not going to care about Spotify anymore. And they're going to go back trying to keep you in the app.
Right.
I have found, so I have like 30,000 Instagram followers and I've had swipe up for a while.
Right.
When
that was a humble brag, by the way. I'll call that out.
NPD. I was so excited to get the swipe up though.
Yeah.
And then I would start to use it and I was like, oh, all of a sudden my stories for like 2 days in a row have 400 views when usually I'm like at thousands. Yeah. And it would suppress all my stories. So I only use it if I'm doing some sponsored deal where I'm like required to have a swipe out. Yeah. But generally I'll just plug whatever it is. I'll say like, this is the book I'm reading. Check it out on Amazon.
They restrict, I think it's, 10,000 followers before you can swipe up to external links?
Yep, you need the 10,000 to get the swipe up. I think you can swipe up though to Instagram TV.
And I do that. Yeah. I figured out that one. I got that one under control.
So they like that, right? Yeah. Because they own IGTV and IGTV.
I don't mind that. I just feel like they don't put enough time into IGTV. So at least the one thing I appreciate about Instagram is their ability to make it easy for me to send my viewers or my followers to that content without them needing to know, okay, now I got to go to IGTV. I can just make it easy.
And IGTV has been a little bit of a flop compared to where they thought it would be.
I like it. I actually like it.
I think it's picking up steam again because now you'll see in like the Discover feed, they'll have the videos in there. But for them, if they want to bolster traffic to IGTV, they're going to prioritize those stories that have IGTV in it.
Yeah.
So always like think about what is the priority of the platform. They always want to keep traffic internal, especially if you're on Facebook sharing a YouTube link, you're done. They hate YouTube. It's never going to happen.
Why don't they understand?
They're at war.
I know, but it's not beneficial to people like me and you who are creators.
But they don't care about us.
I know, but it's not beneficial to us and it doesn't.
It's beneficial if it forces you to upload your video into Facebook. It's beneficial to them if it keeps you on the platform.
Why can't they do something like what they're doing with Spotify? The Spotify partnership is great because it allows me. I just found out about it. I've been using it for a couple posts now.
Yeah.
And I used to just take a screenshot and post it, and then I'm realizing the Spotify. The thing that's different about that is it provides an actual link to the actual.
Yeah. It's a deep link to it.
In my case, the podcast episode.
Yeah.
So it's able to, and I can put different backgrounds, and they make me, they allow me to scale it up and down. Like there's so many creative tools there to use. Again, though, I'm looking at this going, how is anybody supposed to know about any of this stuff? I'm discovering everything.
Yeah.
Everything I'm doing, everything in terms of putting the content out there, I'm discovering as I'm going. I didn't take a class on this. I don't have an education
I will
in this.
say there are some really good Facebook groups too that you can join, but
now I got to go to Facebook again.
Yeah. See, a lot of times though, let's say that you're reading a blog about like 10 hacks for your Instagram. Most of the stuff on there is going to be stuff that Instagram doesn't prioritize anymore because they do change it really regularly. And the best way to learn is just to be creative and just try different things.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, the video, so uploading a picture as a video, I found out that worked well because we made a GIF and the designer who exported the GIF only exported one frame. So it never animated. And we're like, wait, oh my God, this is a flop. It only shows the opening frame. They're like, well, wait, hold on. This is doing really well and it doesn't even play.
Yeah.
That's weird. So a lot of it's like you just kind of stumble upon things. And if you're nice, you tell your friends.
Yeah. Well, generally my rule about tutorials is, especially on YouTube, is I search by date. So anything generally within the last year is fine to look at. And that's usually helpful. But I want to strip all this away and kind of pull back the idea of social media and how intertwined we are. We started out by talking about the early days of Facebook and how it was utilized in a college atmosphere. But now we're in a different time. We're in a time where it's integrated into everyone's life.
Yes.
This is something you pick your favorite platform, and that's the platform that is. But I don't know what the figure is but it's a high amount of times that people pick up their phone and look at their phone every single day. Turn it on, turn it off. It's like it's so integrated into us. Yeah. I'm not sure what the next steps are for where this is heading.
Even
and what
if
we're doing.
if we look at a lot of websites you can sign in using Google. A lot of them also do Facebook and Twitter, where it becomes like that default hub for all of our stuff. I mean, Facebook's goal was to be the internet, and I remember there was a stat, I can't remember the percentage, but there was a astonishing percentage of people who thought that Facebook was the internet. For a lot of people, social media is their life. Not to humble brag on my Instagram again, but
here we go. Get ready.
I went about a week without posting. And when I came back, because I was just burnt out. I was burnt out of life. And I was really sick. Yeah. I didn't post for about a week. And when I came back, I had multiple messages from people that I do not know in real life who were like, oh my God, are you okay? I haven't seen you post in a couple days. I just want to make sure you're okay. And it was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah. I think there's the other side to that coin, though. Like when people, they mean well and they're wishing you happy birthday on Facebook. They mean well, but they didn't remember.
They're being prompted to. LinkedIn, it bothers me so much. LinkedIn does this now where LinkedIn will recommend responses for you. And so it'll say like, Joe got a new job. Congratulate him. It's like, congratulations, Joe. Good job, Joe. And it's literally just like pushing buttons to automate the engagement.
What is that doing to us? Because I have greater appreciation for when a friend calls me up and says happy birthday, or when they're texting me personally and saying happy birthday.
It devalues.
Or in person. I didn't even name that as the first one.
Oh my God.
That was
what
the third
is that
one.
like?
That was the third one on the list. But it's like, like I said, I was off for almost 2 years on Facebook, and then coming back to it and kind of approaching it in a different way. Yeah. But at the same time, recognizing it as something that people don't utilize in that way. Yeah. So it's a strange relationship I have with that right now.
There's a couple parts, but really what it does, it devalues that interaction, especially when you know it's not genuine. So if someone says congratulations, I'm like, oh, cool. Like you hit the button. But if they're like, oh my gosh, like that's amazing. I remember when we interned together. It's like, oh, hold on.
Did you remember, or did Facebook remember?
Yeah,
because they do those memory wall things.
But like when they actually go through the effort of like writing out a response, it's like, whoa, hold on, you're actually a human. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe that's automated. Maybe they're using a third party. I use a plugin on Chrome for LinkedIn, and every weekend I go through and I will endorse like 10 or 15 people. I'll just go through and hit this button to endorse their top 3 skills.
Really?
I don't know what they are. I know who the person is. I don't know what the skills are, but I want to have that engagement and I don't have time for it. So I do that. But don't judge me.
Does Facebook still have dark posting? Does that exist anymore?
Okay, so...
Or it does, but no one's doing it?
Facebook allows you to do dark posting for the purposes of advertising.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah. So Facebook will let you, as an advertiser or even a creative with an ad account, if you have an ad account, you can create a post that does not show on your news feed, but it'll be there for promotional purposes. You can also actually have posts. Who
sees it?
Anyone that you promote the content to. So...
Or specifically, you can target it.
Yep, so you can target. So let's say that I live in a small town in the Midwest. Shocking. Yeah. And I really don't like the gym in town. I could put a post out on my business Facebook page that's like a fan page for my lifting stuff. Shameless plug. And I could put a post out and be like, I had a really bad experience at this gym. They were really mean to me. And I could write that up. A lot of people don't understand when they're seeing an ad on Facebook versus an organic post. They look very similar. The only difference is a sponsored post will have a light gray word sponsored under the time when it's published. So I could do that as a dark post so that the gym would never see it. And the only people, maybe I'm only targeting people who are fans of that gym's page. I'm really making it just for our like 7,000 person town. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to block the gym from my page. So no one would ever see it public on my page. You'd only see if it was promoted, and I could delete it as soon as the campaign was done and pretend it never happened. Now, a lot of this discussion is involving Facebook because they are the head players in a lot of this. They have the largest audience, and they have, I would say Facebook has the largest audience, but they're also the most transparent with what your options are for advertising. If you're an advertiser, not if you're a user.
Say, like, what are we talking?
Not if you're a user. If you're an advertiser, they give you the most targeting options.
When I get a post that has 10 likes in the first 10 minutes, I know it's going to hit 50 likes.
You're on fire.
I know it. Yeah. I know that's going to happen. But if a post gets 1 or 2 likes within, and by the way, I'm not changing the kind of content, very similar content, but it doesn't have the same traction.
Yeah.
I suspect there's something happening behind the scenes that's crushing that piece of content.
So if we try and make the Facebook algorithm as simple as possible, it's going to value a couple of things. One is timeliness of the post. Like, when was it published? Mm-hmm. Was it published today or was it published yesterday? Because if it's yesterday, it's dead. Was it 6 hours ago? It's dead. And then the second one is we can think of it as like the velocity of engagement. So if you have something that as soon as you publish it, because you tagged a location and that location's really responsive and they saw and they liked your post just because you tagged them, and you tag 10 friends that love you and so they're going to like it right away. If you get a ton of engagement off the bat, it's going to say, whoa, people like this, they value it. Let me bump it up in the feed.
Is there any truth to this? Like I said, I'm discovering everything every step of the way. Yeah. So I'm figuring it out. And in the realm that we were just talking about, people being prompted to wish you a happy birthday or congratulations. In the same vein, I've read that on Facebook, you have to interact in order to be seen. So I have to like someone's post, or I have to comment on someone's post, or not specifically to that person and then they see it. I just mean general activity. So
of like the very simple boiled up version of the algorithm, one of it is affinity. So if they see that let's say that they see that you and I comment on each other's stuff quite regularly, they're always going to show me your content. But let's say you go to my page, you don't like anything, you don't comment, but they know you visited my page, that increases our affinity with each other. Yeah. So the more that you engage with other people's content, the stronger an affinity you're going to have with them to Facebook, and the more likely they are to see your content. But it's also best practice. My second piece of advice, after like be consistent publishing on a platform, is be the engagement you want to receive.
But I don't want to be disingenuous with what I'm doing. I don't want to post something and I feel hypocritical saying that statement because then I just whore myself out by posting my show all over the place. But at the same time, I'm specifically talking about engagement with friends and communicating with friends. And when they do something cool, I want to recognize that.
Yeah, you should do that.
I don't want to do it because it's allowing them to see what I do in return. But I think there is somewhat of an off-putting kind of feeling there to that. You know what I'm trying to say?
I think it's off-putting if a friend knows that you're only engaging with them because you want them to see your stuff.
Yeah, and every post says, "Hey, great, awesome." Yeah.
Don't be a bot. Don't be a bot.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it gets to the point where I think it's the same thing though as a creative. Yeah. Right? You charge for your services.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And there's a point where for a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's a friend. They need just like a quick trailer made for their YouTube channel. Like, oh man, like I feel bad charging them for it. But there's a point where you say like, no, like I'm employed. I need to make a living. I value what I do. I charge you for it. Yeah. I think it's the same type of struggle where you're saying like, listen, like I'm running a business. I need to do everything I can to get my stuff seen. And so I'm going to, like, I spend 2 to 3 hours a day on Instagram commenting on other people's content that are not following me because I want them to see me, find my content, and like my page.
Yeah.
That's
You're actively seeking an audience.
That is the only reason I do it. But when doing it, I've met friends that I only found because I do that. And I'm like, holy shit, like you're doing like some really cool stuff. We're doing similar things. And then, but when I go through and I like their content, I'm not like, you're doing great. I'll look and be like, man, like I have the exact same leggings as you.
Right.
Like, don't you hate that they discontinue that cut?
But you're being genuine when you do that.
I'm being genuine in my engagement.
In your engagement.
But my purpose,
strategically,
my purpose is literally just to like build an empire.
Right.
So like, I know that for me to do that, I need to reach out.
You're able to separate those two things.
But in the act of me commenting on other people's content, I'm doing it in a very genuine manner. And if I found someone, let's say I'm going through a hashtag and I see someone who like,
so wait, did you like that person's leggings or not?
Well, I did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I did. But that's the thing is like
genuinely.
When I'm going through, if I see someone and I'm like, they're not the type of like maybe. So I'm not a fan of like the fit tee and people who are just focused on being skinny. Like I lift. That's my shtick. I think everyone should go to the gym because it's fun. So if I see someone who's like, look at this tee, I lost like 50 pounds overnight, I'm not going to engage in their stuff because I don't care.
And that's also not your audience. Yeah.
So I'll only go through and I'll look at people who look like the audience that I want to curate following me, and I'll engage with them first. Yeah. But I'm genuine in the engagement. End of the day though, the goal is to expand my Instagram. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I have like malintentions. It's bad if I went through and I just spammed everyone.
Right.
Like that creates a bad experience. So I think...
Now, the hard thing is understanding like what is considered spamming everyone, because I'm doing it in a way where I'm posting content across all platforms because I don't know what, like I've said it many times already. I don't know what people are seeing and what aren't.
But you've also set the expectation though, that like, hey, I'm going to share.
I said that. I told them straight out. I said what's going to happen. And
so everyone who's there has opted in to experience that.
Right.
You know, I think as like business owners, and I'm gonna say like on the creative side, it can be sometimes hard to differentiate between that. I had a friend who makes pins, and it took him a long time to realize like, listen, like it might cost you $1.90 to like physically make this, but you need to charge $12 and like stop feeling bad. Like that's what people are willing to pay for it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a markup, but like you need to make a living. Yeah. So
well, and all the fees that are associated with something like that.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about, you know, for on the side, I'm doing side hustle flipping eBay stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a fun side hustle to do, and understanding when certain products are going to be popular and holding on to something. And so there's a whole strategic element to that, and treating another platform. We're walking away from Facebook now, treating that platform, eBay, like a social media platform, like you would on any other. You know, it's interesting to see the dynamics there. Moving across various, I feel like in this episode there should be a bingo card of like every time we say that
let's get some buzzwords in there.
In there, you know, platform, all these things that social,
audience, advertising, dark post is like the bonus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, it's all really fascinating stuff. I just it can be a struggle sometimes, not only from a creative standpoint, but also mentally exhausting just as a user too.
Yeah. I will say overall, the more human you are, because people like people.
Yeah.
Right. So you have different reasons people are on different platforms. So if you're on Pinterest, you're on there because you're looking for inspiration generally.
People also hate people.
You're not wrong.
All right.
But people are on there because they're looking for inspiration, right? They're looking to be educated and inspired. They're looking for recipes. They're looking for recommendations. But if they have someone on there that they connect to on a personal level, that they know they like their content, they're going to follow them. On Facebook, it's usually more family and friends who want to see what's going on in your personal life. On Instagram, a lot of times it's more the visuals. So there's different reasons people use every different platform. But at the end of the day, people want to connect with someone that they want to connect with. So the more human you are, even if on Instagram, I'm liking other people's content that aren't following me because I want them to follow me, that's my purpose. You're still being human about it and trying to make a human connection. And the more human of a connection you try and make, the more it'll go. But it takes time. You know, if we look at like Gary Vaynerchuk, right, who's everywhere. Yeah. I had to block him on some platforms because he does follow me on Twitter, actually.
He's actually watching right now. Surprisingly, this is his favorite show. I don't know why. Okay. Can't explain it. I think it's the algorithm.
Probably. When he started Wine Library TV, which is his first venture, which I used to watch in like elementary, middle school.
Well, that was starting up right at the same time as Revision 3 had their media company, and I watched a show called Dig Nation at the time. Yes,
I remember Dig Nation. Yes.
Alex Albright.
Kevin Rose is still, I looked at Martin Sargent the other day, actually.
Oh, Martin, okay. Tech TV stuff. We're working backwards now.
So Gary Vaynerchuk, when he started Wine Library TV, he'll go back and say his first 1,000 episodes, no one watched. Yeah. They would get under 10 or 15 views. So the reality is, you have to form a connection, but it's about that consistency and keeping doing it. It's like, just because no one likes your content today doesn't mean they won't in a month. Right. And if you go back and look at some big YouTubers, who have not hidden their initial videos, you'll go back and see, even someone who's been on 2 or 3 years, go back and 3 years ago, their views were not what they were today. Like, everyone starts from zero and everyone goes through this struggle unless they have a ton of money to promote their stuff. everyone goes through that struggle of like, man, like no one's engaging. I'm getting like 1 or 2 likes. And then all of a sudden it's going to pick up. But it's about consistently publishing and then being the engagement that you want to receive so that you form that connection with people.
I know one of his big messages is time. All his videos are kids coming up to him saying, how do I get to 1 million subscribers tomorrow? And you're like, how old are you? And you're like, I'm 17. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like there's a great show, One Punch Man. Are you familiar with it?
No.
Okay. Everyone go watch it.
We're sponsored
hold on. Spoiler alert. So this guy, it's this world in which like everyone's, people are superheroes. You go Superhero Academy. And this one kid comes in and he's just like faster than everyone, stronger than everyone. And everyone's like, oh my God, like how'd you do this? He's like, very simple. Every day I do 100 deadlifts, 100 push-ups, and 100 jumping jacks or something like that. I got it very wrong. But the point is everyone's like, no, that doesn't work. It's like, no, just every day I consistently do the same shit. And like, that's what got him there. And people, they give up, they stop, they get discouraged, right?
Yeah.
They get frustrated.
It's easy to.
Yeah. And then they want to stop. But, the reality is like, it could take, I was thinking like, I hated Breaking Bad, the first season.
Yeah.
Season 3, I got into it.
Okay.
Sometimes
I was going to say you're about to get some haters underneath
probably,
in the comments.
I had someone actually walk out of a meeting once because I said I had never watched Breaking Bad.
Oh, wow.
But it was for an agency that does marketing for television shows.
It was a meeting with Vince Gilligan, creator of Breaking Bad.
Thank you. I didn't know who that was. Please don't hate me. So my point is though, like you can go through phases where like no one likes your stuff and it takes a long time for it to get there. That doesn't mean it's bad. Just because Facebook's algorithm doesn't like you doesn't mean other people do.
Also, you're figuring out your voice too.
Yeah, you have to test it out. But the more content you put out there, it's like dating. The more dates you go on, the more likely you are to find someone who will like put up with your shit.
The more depressed you get.
Yeah, maybe. It goes one or two ways. You either quit dating forever or you find someone that has the same disinterest that you do and you bond over it.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, in a sense, it's fascinating all around, but I definitely don't have a grasp of it. And you're saying you don't either.
No one does.
Right.
It's an illusion.
So, but I mean, really, we should sort of go in that direction or steer away from it, whatever you're most comfortable with.
I would say if you are not comfortable with the unknown and going out there and having to just like try stuff and see what works, if you need to like have a formula for it, for what it looks like, that's not the role for you. It's not the thing for you to do. Because it's very unknown. And even I used to I ran millions of dollars a month in paid advertising. And there was still stuff where I'd be like, oh shit, like I didn't know that would happen. Yeah. It's a big unknown. So. When
you're an independent creator and creating content on your own as a one-man band operation, there's a give and a take to it, because when you run your own YouTube channel and you're running your own projects that you're putting up and uploading, this as a creator, it feels like a full-time job.
It is a full-time job.
Yeah, well,
it's actually a full-time job for multiple people.
But I feel like there is a misconception. Like I can just do a show every week. Yeah. Well, what does that entail? I come in, I set up a light and a camera, and there's all these other extraneous elements that are just the production of it.
You have to hang out with Cricket for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the
dog
easy part.
before she'll.
That's the easy
before
part.
She'll let you in.
Right, but I mean, then I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna transfer this footage. I'm gonna edit it, and then then I'm gonna spend time adding subtitles. Then I'm gonna do all the graphics. I mean, the list goes on.
I used to work at an agency and we did marketing for a lot of TV shows that you probably watched. And we would spend 20 to 30 hours making a 15-second video that would go on Facebook and it would just die and never be seen again. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of work to produce short clips. There's things you can do. Like you're going to take this, you're going to chop it up into multiple different segments. You're going to use it multiple times. There's things that you can do to try and get the most out of that time. But content production is very consuming. It takes a lot of time, and the cost of your setup, right? It takes a lot of time and energy to produce. It's not as easy as people think, but I think it can be easier to do than people think. Like it's not undoable.
Right.
I think you should have to understand like it's not as, you don't just like throw a camera on and do it.
Well, I mean, you were showing me like the room that you have here at your place, but you're using natural light to light yourself, so you don't have to invest in the,
I bought a house to do it.
I'm just saying creatively, and
there's ways to get.
you don't have to be discouraged and go, well, I didn't go to film school, so I don't know how to do this stuff.
I originally, so we talked about Instagram a couple times, but I originally wanted to start a YouTube channel, and I bought like a DSLR, and then I realized that my audio was horrible and it couldn't plug in a mic, and then I had to learn how to put it together. I'm like, this is so much work. And then Snapchat had just come out. And I would spend like 40 minutes getting my hair and makeup ready. And I don't know if you guys can tell, I have no makeup on, but I would spend so much time getting my hair and makeup ready, making sure the angles were perfect. And then Snapchat came out, and I started just like recording just in real time and putting stuff on Snapchat. I was like, man, this has such a lower barrier to entry. I can do this. And I started doing Snapchat more consistently than I did YouTube. So my Snapchat grew way faster.
Was it because of the immediate reaction you were getting from it, or what was it?
I didn't, because at the time Snapchat had very poor discoverability.
Yeah.
And so I just had my friends, and then I would just try and find other people with like lifting in their title. And then there were a couple platforms that started as like Snapchat directories that I would go on, and I would just add people and just like hope that I connected with someone. It was a lot of grind. But I think for me, the barrier of entry to produce content was a lot lower, so I did it more consistently.
You know what I really like? I like that my story is completely different in that I spent a lot of time to do a specific camera review. Like on YouTube, I did a camera review for a camera that came out that everyone was interested in. And there was a lot of production value that went into it. It was shot over.
Magic?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember witnessing this camera coming into your life on Facebook.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I made a review video about it that was really high level production, and it ended up getting a lot of traction on YouTube. And then I was like, oh, I don't have any other content on my I got to start uploading more stuff.
Yeah.
So then I went in and was doing other camera review tutorial type stuff. And before I knew it, I was over 1,000 subscribers.
Nice. Got that vanity URL?
No, not well. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
No, actually, I do. And it feels like you're actually on your way to something. And I just think, I like the contrast that we have between our stories because it shows that the level, like what you have in knowledge of social media, is like we share on the same level, except I have that video production.
Yeah, we're like opposite.
But I think that shows a perfect harmony in that you don't have to be great at any one thing, but it's about putting yourself out there and making the content that you really like to make, and then figuring out where that audience is across the platforms and trying to figure out the best way to consistently do it.
I agree with that 1,000%. Yeah.
And
there's some, I'm sure you've seen it too, or you've seen on YouTube channels where you're like, this is complete trash.
Yeah.
Like, how do they have 100,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
It's like, well, they consistently put out content and they found their audience somewhere in the world with it.
But it's even niche stuff will get a big audience. It depends on the consistency of it, and it depends on who's making it. And there's a lot of factors that go into it that we won't be able to cover here in one full episode of this show, but I don't know if I know anymore, but I definitely feel more comfortable. Maybe it's the right word. Any remaining thoughts on this or quick advice?
Be consistent with whatever you're publishing on. And don't feel like you have to be everywhere. Think about where your audience actually is. Be consistent, and then be the engagement that you want to receive. Be active on the platform. Like, I was listening to a podcast once of a guy who's like, I don't listen to podcasts. It's like, what? Like, if
that's
you're gonna,
okay. If he doesn't, that's
okay, fine. I judge, but if you're gonna, if you're gonna be active on social, be active on the platform. Actually use it, because you also, I think, get better understanding too of how your audience is receiving it. And some of my best ideas for social hacks have come from like when I'm using it personally. I'm like, oh, it's weird when someone does this. What if they did that? I'll try that. So just be consistent. Be consistent and be the engagement you want to receive.
Jess, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. It's been fun.
Creative Side Up is an Edgeline Studios production. Thanks for listening, and we hope you join us again soon.